Okay, we're on. So basically, what do the graphs show us from last week? Okay, so this is going to be a little review from last week, just about, remember those graphs you did? Yeah, you remember them. You guys are awesome. One of the things we learned from last week is that, you saw this yesterday in the Great Depression, unemployment was out of control. It was huge. It was big. 1/4 of Americans were unemployed by 1932. Can you believe that, guys? 1/4. It's unbelievable. Remember yesterday how many of you just lost, well, pretty much everybody lost their jobs. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Any question, write that down?
Yeah, I'll have you guys write this down. Absolutely. Yes, please write it down. 25% unemployed. That is insane. Did you guys know that in America today, like, we have about 6% unemployment? I don't know about you, but 6% is a lot less than 25%. So we are in no way close to what they experienced in the Depression. But on the other hand, 75% of people were employed. But still, that's a huge number right there. And that causes a lot of problems. You guys saw it in the simulation yesterday, right? Remember? A lot of you guys just had to struggle financially. I had somebody in 4th period end up with minus $37. You know why? Because of this, the bank's closed. How many of you guys actually deposited your money in the bank yesterday? Good job. Well, at least you didn't deposit that much, because that group in 4th period, they deposited $60 in the bank. And by the next round, it went poof. I said, oh, sorry, it's the Great Depression. So bank closings were out of control. Like, life savings were gone. 9 million savings accounts completely gone. Unbelievable. Like, imagine saving up for years and years and years. $1,000, $2,000, $4,000. That's a lot of bank back in those days. All of a sudden, you cannot get your money out of the bank. Unbelievable. So true and so sad. So people lost their life savings. People lost so much stuff, and they had to sell everything, right? A lot of you guys sold your wedding rings yesterday. A lot of you guys sold your car, your house. You didn't sell your children, though, did you? Well, you couldn't sell your children. I don't know if people actually did that, but I will tell you, I bet people felt like selling their children. Businesses started to go out of business like crazy. Business failures were out of control. Businesses that people used to be able to have, businesses that people used to go to were all of a sudden out of business. Kind of like today. I don't know if you guys know this, but in America we've had a recession over the past few years. It's different than a depression, and a lot of businesses have gone out of business in Fresno. One of the most famous businesses is Gottschalk's. You ever shop at Gottschalk's?
Remember that?
Yeah, Gottschalk's was a company that was started back in, like, I'm going to say almost 1900 here in Fresno, and there were lots of different Gottschalk's. There was one in Sierra Vista Mall, there was one in Manchester Mall, there was one at Fashion Fair, and there was one at River Park. And that they didn't stop there. They had Gottschalk's in other places in California, even all the way up into Oregon and Washington. Like, they were everywhere. And the recession hit, and guess what? Pooped out. Gottschalk's went out of business, and that's a local business. Can you name any other big businesses in Fresno that have moved on? Blockbuster, right? Absolutely, right? Blockbuster used to be the place. But I think Netflix killed that, right? What else? What about Ashland and Blackstone? You guys ever, you know what's going in there? Big Walmart.
Oh,
There used to be it's called Mervyn's. Yeah, Mervyn's was a big store like for families and stuff. And that, what's that? I think it's open. Yeah, but that's good for Fresno. That's a lot of jobs right there. So that's a good thing. Walmart, baby. Also, something else that happened in the United States is that the gross national product was down, which basically means our production was down. We weren't producing as much stuff, and our economy was basically just not producing anything. People were out of work. People were out of jobs. It's like this big mess, really. It's just horrible. Fortunately, you guys and me right now in 2015, we live in a time when America's not in a depression. America's doing well. There's so many new businesses opening up, like in our very own city. You know what I'd like to see, though, is a lot more businesses open up on this end of town right here. Right? You guys, how many of you guys live around Edison somewhere? Wouldn't you guys all like to see some more businesses move in here? You know what I mean? Like right across the street, there's on California there. You know what I'm talking about? All that empty land. Hello, I mean, dude, they should put something there, right? We got AutoZone, we got Subway. I know, with tacos and more, right? And it never happened, did it? Did it? Was it actually open at some point?
No.
Okay, so like never open. It would be awesome to see like some people invest more down here on the west side, because that would mean more jobs for people, and I think it'd be great. I think it'd be great for everything, but I don't know. City of Fresno not down with that, at least not yet. At least we got Panda Express and AAA Burger, so we're good.
Hey, right here.
West Side Special. That was a good day for me. So the depression hits the people. I can't remember, did we might have done this slide yesterday, huh?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, so let me just reiterate. So if you were absent yesterday, here's your chance to catch up. But just remember that if you did lose your job, you had absolutely no help from the government. That was it. You just hope that you had enough money to survive, and you hope that at some point you could find a job. And if you lost your house, just like in the simulation, maybe you could shack up with people. That happened too, you know? Or maybe you lived in a Hooverville, a tent city. Maybe you ended up begging on the street. Not like a homeless person that might be quote unquote crazy. Just a normal person that's like, can you spare a dime? Like this dude right here. That's a famous picture in the Depression right there. In fact, that song, Brother, Can You Spare a Dime, that was actually a hit song during the Great Depression. Do you believe that?
I never heard that song.
You never heard that song, huh? 50 Cent remade it. No, I'm just kidding. It's a Brother, Can You Spare 50 Cents? No, I'm just kidding. I have no idea what he's done with his life. Anyways, is his real name Curtis? Yes, it
Curtis
is.
Jackson.
Curtis Jackson. Oh, yeah.
I used to be a 50 Cent fan.
That's good. Then he became 75 cents and you got rid of him.
You put me in the
All right. All right. Bless you. Women. No, whatever. Women had it tough in the Great Depression, although women often supported their families. Like, we know that 1/3 of working married women provided all the support their families would need. So while the men were unemployed, women often, a lot of the women's jobs didn't get cut. That was cool. So they became like the money makers and the breadwinners for their families. And it was good in some ways for women. What kind of stuff were women doing? What do you see right here? What were they doing?
like
Waitresses?
Waiting tables and serving food, right? What's this called again in the Depression where they're... It's called a soup kitchen, right? A bread line. Women did that. And I'm talking all races of women. Everybody. Women did that. Women worked in typical industries to help support their families, and that was a good thing. Now, let's get to the next thing. And I only have basically one more slide here for today. So here we go. Families. So women were working, but still life was tough. For families, here's some interesting things. Number one, what do you guys think? Would you imagine that having a financial, would you think that having a lot of financial problems would be hard for a couple? Because don't couples fight over money mostly? What are the two things that couples fight over really?
Money and
Kids, right? You think it's money and kids? Which one do you think they fight more over?
money.
It's money, huh?
Right.
Yeah. Money and kids. Kids and money. Okay. So as you guys know, like, I don't know what your family situation is. Maybe some of you guys have divorced parents, and that's the way, unfortunately, things go. But in the Great Depression, because there was so much stress on people, the exact opposite happened, is that divorce actually declined. Now I want you to think through this for a minute. Why do you think people were less likely to get a divorce in the Great Depression? What's that? No, say it. They couldn't afford to get a divorce. Do you guys know how expensive it is to get a divorce? Oh my God. It's insane, yeah. You got to hire a lawyer and you got to go through all the legal paperwork and stuff, and lawyers are expensive. That's why I stay married. It's just too expensive. Way too expensive to get a divorce. Yeah, I know. I can edit that out too. I'm just saying. Love you, hon. No, seriously, the divorce is an expensive thing, and I'm talking thousands of dollars for attorney fees and stuff. That's why in the Great Depression, people stayed legally married, but they started to walk out on each other. And that's what's called desertion, because it was way too expensive. Can you believe that? It's crazy stuff. Seriously. Well, what about birth rates? Do you think that the birth rates in the Depression would be increasing or decreasing? Increasing?
Yeah.
Who votes for increasing? Why would you say it might be increasing, some of you? What's that? They have nothing better to do than have kids? Okay. Yeah, that makes people happy.
Probably relieve stress.
Maybe relieve some stress, you know.
Doing the best.
Could it if you say it's decreasing, why would it decrease?
The lack of work and jobs to support the family.
Oh, like too many mouths to feed, not enough money. Well, guess what happened? What's that?
Increase because but it's more money, but they can go out and look for jobs too.
Sure, absolutely. The statistics are funny. They found out that people started having fewer babies in the Great Depression because it was too expensive.
It's still expensive to have kids.
It's very expensive. Believe me.
Kids are everything.
Kids are kids.
I got a niece.
Yeah. You guys are kids, I guess, right? I mean, still,
My way.
I guess. I don't know. But yeah, it's expensive. It's no small thing having kids. But yeah. Did you guys know the cost of having a baby? Just like if you go to community hospital and have a baby, what do you think the cost of that is?
Medical bill?
Medical bill. Because yesterday it was like $10, right? In the simulation to have a child. What do you think it might have been back in like now? It might be between $8,000 and $9,000. Can you believe that? Do you know why? It costs so much for like the you got to pay the hospital, you got to pay the nurses, you got to pay the doctor, you got to pay everybody gets paid, and you got to pay them a salary. So when there's babies born, ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. Absolutely. We also know in the Great Depression that many people starved. An example in New York City, which is a place where you wouldn't think that would happen, in 1933 alone, you had people just literally dying from starvation. They didn't have food. Today, some of you guys will read about what people did to find food. It is unbelievable. People get desperate, you know. And that's what the Great Depression did. It made people desperate. It made people try to stretch their money. All of that. So, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to pause this.